Digital marketing seems to be the mystery that most entrepreneurs struggle with, and real estate investors are no exception. The truth is, there are multiple avenues to success. Those experiences will be best shared by the guests on this podcast. My name is Jason Wright, and I would like to welcome you to Real Estate Investor Marketing Stories. What is going on? Jason Wright here. Welcome to episode number 39 of the podcast. As usual, if you've ever heard an episode, you know it's coming. Great guest, but before we get into it, some of my random thoughts. My random thoughts today are super applicable to how my morning and early afternoon is gone. I had two calls today. One was a podcast, one was a new business call. What's interesting is both calls were kind of the same. They were really good conversations. I think both will lead to business. It's just good mutual fits, but it just reminded me that you've got to continue to connect with new people. You have no idea who that next person may be, what that next relationship may look like that could change everything for you. You know, and if something changes your business, it could very easily change your life as well, right? So it also reminds me why you got to take chances and you got to be willing to talk about things that are maybe outside of what you normally do that still make sense and align with your passions and with your skills. So yeah, good things to come for us. I can feel it. All right, my guest today is Cantey. We had a great conversation. I'll tell you a bit about her. She is a C-suite executive coach, founder and CEO of a company of her own called CanteyCanFixIt.com. And she's got her own podcast as well. It is called Business Vitality. And finally, of course, she is a real estate investor as well. I really enjoyed this podcast. I enjoyed making it. I'm sure you will enjoy watching it or listening to it as well. Let's check it out. Hey, Catherine. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Jason. Good to see you.
Absolutely. Good to see you as well. So this show will be a little bit different direction. That's actually a direction I love. So tell me kind of how you got started with entrepreneurship in general and what that looked like.
Yeah. It's kind of a funny story, I suppose. I married a serial entrepreneur, and before we got married, I told him I will work in corporate for 20 years, and you figure it out. You'll figure out whatever this is going to be. You've been doing it since you were 14. You're 20. I was 22. He was 23. I said, you just keep figuring this out. I'll do corporate. I'll do benefits. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll climb the ladder, and it'll be great. And then 20 years in, I'm going to turn in my notice, and I'm going to retire. And he thought retirement, I was going to sit at the house and chill, but I don't really do that well. I just knew I wasn't going to go get on an airplane because somebody else told me I had to get on an airplane. Now I just get on planes because I want to. So it started that way. It started kind of with an agreement with him. And I remember when the day came that it was time to turn in my notice, and he said, you're not going to do it. And I said, oh, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I turned it in, and he said, oh, no, you did. And I was like, yeah, I'm done. I turned in my notice, and I had my corporate clients hiring me to come back in to do some work. And ever since then, it's been word of mouth. It's been great. And like I shared with you before, 100% success with my clients. So now I've got to pivot again. I was listening to one of your shows. It's time to pivot, time to figure out, okay, what are we going to do next? Because I like the result, but I really do think I love the journey. I like to be able to figure out whatever this piece is for me to calculate and to solve for. So it started that way. There's other versions of it, but that's the quick one.
Yeah, I like it. I was actually having a conversation with my wife and my team this morning. I was like, this is what we're going to roll out in 2024. One slightly revised client offer. We already have a great offer that works well, but no more offers with digital marketing services. So I said, we're going to create more info type products so people can DIY and do things at different price points as well. But we're going to focus on growing our digital marketing agency owner mastermind because I'm the most qualified person to do it. I've been doing this long enough. It's time to give back on that. And I've been wanting to do it for a long time. So pivots are fun. You get to a point where it's like, how much of my time do I really want to put into one thing? Everything's about time at this point, right? So it's like the biggest frustration I have daily is, man, if I just had an extra hour here or there. And it's like the last 2 days has been like weird surprises. Like we had an appliance repair guy here yesterday. It was like 3 hours, and now instead of one double oven not working, neither one of them work. And it's just like, that's, life's going to throw you curveballs into the business in all parts of life for sure. So
It's about time. It's what you just said. It's all about our time and what do we want to do. And, working with these clients, I love them and I want them to continue to succeed, but but I want to add more and help more. And I want to be able to give back. So it's a time thing and trying to really identify what's the best use of time and how do I continue to pay it forward and pay it back? Yeah. Because so many people taught me along the way. So like, how do I give it back is through working with these folks. So I'll be interested to see how your mastermind works. And I think it's a great way to hit a lot of people and keep that information flowing.
Yeah. And there's a need for it in here as well. The need to give back pretty strong because I'm just real passionate about it. So in regards to real estate, I understand you and your husband have kind of worked on and built your own portfolio. What asset classes, what things have you guys done so far?
A little bit of everything. And then we make mistakes to try to learn from them. I made a couple of mistakes just today and made a couple of mistakes the last few months. So, it all comes together at one time. So over the years, we would buy a house. So he lives in a small town. They've been here since the 1700s. So they have like these forever homes. I remember being young and married and everybody's building these dream houses. And I thought, oh my God, if I have to live in that one house for the rest of my life, I don't think this is going to work for me. So I'll make you a deal. The deal is lowball on this house. If they take the offer in this small town, this lowball house, I'll move there as long as we can fix it up. And then I want to move again. I just want to keep flipping houses. And I'll do that kind of on the side, or we'll do that on the side just to keep some money, extra money coming in while I'm working at the bank, while you're figuring out the business stuff. And so it started that way. Started with, we just find ugly houses that nobody wanted, go play where nobody else wants to play. It's always worked out well for me. And so we started buying houses. They took the offer. I went, oh my God, we're going to move here. So we did. And then the house was too small. We got through it. I remember, painting the ceilings and having to move the ladder every 3 feet because my arm only goes so far and didn't know what I was doing, tiling, just, the whole 9 yards. So then we get through this. We're like, this house is too small. So we buy another house, a mill house, totally take it down to the studs and the foundation and add another 1,000 square feet on the back and just start from new. And so we stayed in that house for a couple of years. Then we bought the neighbors' houses on that street. Then we bought, a couple more houses, one street over. And it was, like you said before, 2021. So we bought it right. And we were able to make money. But the problem is we have to deal with renters. And we're not exactly the best when it comes to managing that because we're busy with everything else. So we have some rentals. I was able to figure out a way to get out of that. And then we've had tracts of land that we've developed and then also taking land and subdividing it for multiple home subdivision type work. So a little bit of everything.
Very nice. I can only think of maybe 2 guests or even people I've talked to ever that did stuff with rentals that stayed with it, right? Like there's like 2 people I can think of that have like 100+ rentals. They obviously have like a system for that, but most people who fool with them, man, I've heard a lot of horror stories and I've talked to like hundreds of people about it, but it's just, it sounds like a good idea, but I think the thought of dealing with one horrible tenant I have to imagine it takes over your life. So, nobody seems to stay with it, but development has been a really hot trend this year. It sounds like you guys have been doing a lot longer than this year, but build to rent communities. You're hearing a lot about those condos, multifamily, townhomes, et cetera. So pretty interesting stuff. So you said with your business, as far as marketing, word of mouth has really been the thing for you?
It's been great. I've got these relationships that came over from that corporate experience and they need people that they can trust who they can just have, a sidebar with I need to be engaged with my team. I need you to come and facilitate. I need you to take this person and coach them up because I don't have any more time. And I kind of laugh at it. I've had this group from the West Coast, they called me and they hired me and we had a short period of time, less than 6 months to get this leader up to speed. I knew it was working and I knew it was really working when the CRO called me and said the executives at at Apple and Viacom, they called me and said this team is flawless with this lady out. So we had to get her ready within a short period of time. She went out on medical leave. And then the CRO said, this is awesome. And I'm going to be sending you more people. So what they like about it, what the person who's hiring me, the sponsor is liking about it is the fact that they don't have to spend really any extra time to get people where they need to be. They're already busy. They don't have any more time in the day. And they're just finding ways like, how do we just grow these people? Can you love on these people and coach these people and have real life experiences with them and navigate the waters with them? And that's what I do. I'm kind of a guide with them to get them through there. So it's proven to be really successful, but it's coming from my existing base. So when you talk about pivot, I'm like, all right, I got a good track record. I got 11 pages of testimonials. Now what do I do? There's a whole world out there, and I've got to think about how do I create a bigger impact.
What's interesting about what we're talking about, it goes back to time, and it really goes back to relationships. So whether it's your business or my business or most of the audience of this show, everybody's in the relationship business, right? If somebody listening or watching is solely focused on finding new investors, here's a secret, buddy. You better have decent people skills and you better know how to build relationships, or it's not going to work out the way you think it's going to. And I have that conversation with people all the time, and people will say, Jason, the guys and gals are raising the most money for deals. Like, what's the secret? And it's like, they're investing in the relationships. They're not just like, hey, you want to invest in my deal? Hey, you want to invest in my deal? There's more to it than that. Just like in relationship you care about in life. So those fundamental things, those truths are not new. They're not going to ever change. But, it's like we live in this time where everybody wants to shortcut the process, right? I want to talk to you once and know everything I'm going to think about you and feel about you. It's just, you can't do it. You can't shortcut the relationship. So interesting stuff.
I think that's an important thing to notice. And yesterday I had a couple of coaching calls with clients, and what I'm noticing with their time, because they're executives and they keep adding more and more, but yet they need time for strategy and they need time for, planning and everything. And I said, all right, what do you do when you get stressed? And they said, I go out for a run or I go lift weights. I said, all right, so where is that in your calendar? They said, that's the first thing I got to cut. I was like, all right, well, how's that working for you? And they said, I'm about to, go lose it because I haven't been for a run. I said, well, then you need to put that on your calendar, because if you don't have it on your calendar, everything else is done. The dominoes are not going to fall the way you want. And so when we did, and I love to do this, I just dig a little bit further. I said, by the way, when was the last time you saw your spouse? I mean, we checked calendars on Sunday morning. I said, well, that's not going to work. You better put something on the calendar and figure out how to go down to the grocery store, get some flowers and bring them home tonight. Otherwise, you're going to have a big problem on your hands if you don't get a good foundation put in there with your time. So, we had a few miracle moments earlier this week with a few people, but you begin to look at their time allocation. You're like, we got to get a few little things tweaked, because if we don't have you running or lifting weights or speaking to your spouse, you're going to have a much bigger time impact than anything else that I can even help you with.
Yeah, it's like your pool boy is going to be living in your bedroom, brother. Yeah,
and we all know it happens. Priorities. We got to take care of our relationships.
Absolutely. So we were talking before the show a little bit. And I'm switching gears. I do this. My brain works all over the place all the time. It's a big happy mess. I was talking about short-term rentals. I was trying to make numbers work with, and I couldn't. And you were talking about 2001. Before that, there was a good time to buy. In regards to investing, what do you think is the biggest mistake that you've made so far? So a little bit different question I normally ask, but I figure you'll have a funny story in there somewhere.
Yeah, I just made this mistake. I paid too much for the house. And it sounded great because I had 3 lots that were supposed to close in the deal: an empty lot, a house, and an empty lot. Got the price, comes down to it, I can only get a clear title on 2 of the 3. And so, of course, they wanted to, work a deal till they found the heir. And I said, that's fine. I'm going to come back. And I shouldn't say this, but I like to lowball things. And I called my husband. I said, I'm going to just shoot real low. He was like, that's just going to insult him. I was like, well, I don't care. Then walk away. It's not doing anything else. So anyway, I kind of got persuaded, and I came up just a little bit, and they took it. And now I'm looking at it, and I'm walking around this house, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a lot of work. I'm not going to be able to flip it. And I haven't renovated a house probably I don't even know. It's been a few years, probably, I don't know, 3-4 years since I've really renovated something, and probably longer than that, but we used to do it all the time. Prices are different. It's just different. It's a different game right now. So my mistake for this one is not buying it for the right amount. And, don't need to be in a rush right now to buy something. So I'm slowing down and just sitting tight is what I should have done, but I didn't. So here I am with another story.
My inclination, my natural tendency is to always be moving forward, always doing something. My wife's the one trying to reel me back. Like, hey, why are we trying to rush December before we have company for 3 weeks to buy something? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to do it. But she balances me out, because if it was just me, I would just run forever. So like you said earlier, you're the entrepreneur. I'm not a destination guy. So there's just no off switch for me. It's finding that next pivot, finding the next way to add value, the next thing that feeds me the dopamine in the right way. And that's kind of the chase. So I totally get it. All right. So your marketing in your business has been, and this is going to be interesting, has been word of mouth. So word of mouth, I mean, for that to grow, you've got to be getting referrals and repeat business. What do you think the best thing you've done with those relationships has been to bring you more business?
You take care of these people and you over deliver what you've said. And, I've got a group I did a group engagement with over this past year, and I get feedback surveys whenever we come in and do check-ins, and the feedback continues to surprise me. There's even as an outsider, you're coming in and you just built another layer of relationships with us that I've never seen somebody from the outside be able to do. So having those relationships and being able to take them deeper every single time that you meet with them, just a little bit, not something uncomfortable, but just you get another nugget of information, and you just see how far that can go. And you just remember that somebody's got kids and they're about the same age as my son. And we can just kind of, joke about what it's like at Halloween, or joke about what it's like with, having to take them to school in the morning, and why it's a surprise that we've got to find backpacks every morning. So we just joke about it, and it connects with people, and it proves to be helpful. This is just something that I've always had. And I think the layer of creativity, I love to get creative with reach outs to find people, to connect with people. And I wanted to get in from one bank to another bank. I had a 12-year career at one bank, stayed in touch with one of the CFOs, and he moved over here. And I thought, man, I want to get in touch with him, because, that sounds like a cool opportunity. And the water main broke in front of their building. So they have this 100-year-old building, technology's in the basement. They evacuate the building for 6 weeks. I said, well, this is perfect. It's a disaster for him. I'm like, this is perfect. I go to Amazon and I send him a box of ShamWows, those super absorbent towels. And I put a note on the box, and I just said, hey, give me a call when you get the mess cleaned up. And of course, that box sits on his desk with business continuity running, and only the CFO, the COO, and the CEO are in there because, everything's shut down. And they're like, who sends you a bag of super absorbent towels? And he said, this woman that I've worked with, she's just really creative, good with people, etc. And the CEO said, yeah, we need that. We need that mindset. So give her a call. And so I ended up getting a job offer out of a box of rags, just from relationship building and getting creative with it.
Damn wows are better than rags. A box.
I'm sorry. A box. Well, some people don't know what a ShamWow is, so I just figured I'd explain it.
It's like a chamois, a super absorbent chamois, something like that. So,
yep.
All right. So here's a question I do ask everybody. Share a story about your real estate investing journey that you haven't shared publicly on another podcast before. It could be anything you want. It could be something funny, something sad, learning moment, whatever you like. So this could be with a flip. This could be with a rental, something like that. And the reason I'm asking you this, because we want to know just a little bit more about the real Catherine, and this will help us see that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty open with this stuff. Let's think.
Or
a couple. Go ahead.
If you can't think of something.
How about my first memory of selling a house? And this first house that we fixed up, and of course, I'll buy it. And my husband loves to walk through, and he's on the phone multitasking at the time, doesn't pay attention. We close on it. We get into this house, and we're like, oh my God, like it needs carpet, it needs paint, it needs everything. I said, I realized that's why we got it for this price. He said, well, I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, okay. So we ended up doing the carpet and the paint and everything. We live in it for a couple of years, and then we decided to sell it, and we never fixed this doorknob in the frog, the bench room over the garage. And no, let me think. It was when we were buying this house. That's what it was. So there's like multiple things that were happening in this house. So we were buying this particular house, lots of stuff that was wrong. And he really was a stickler on getting this doorknob fixed. I don't know why. Maybe he just didn't want to buy this house. So when you buy your first house, you've got the real estate agents on both sides. You got the buyer, the seller, and you've got the attorney at the table. He proceeds to go full blown. He needs to be compensated for a broken doorknob in the frog. And everybody in the room is just like shrinking, like this whole thing's just going to go away. I'm not going to get my commission on this real estate. The attorney's like, I've drawn all this paperwork, done the title search. What is he doing? And so anyway, I'm just kind of having this out-of-body experience watching this over this doorknob. And sure enough, the seller pulls out their checkbook and writes a check for $150 for this stupid doorknob to be fixed in order for the closing to take place. And I guess the funny part is we ended up doing carpet and paint and everything in that house. Do you want to know what the one thing was that didn't get fixed when we sold that thing? The doorknob. So anyway, that's one of a few.
Funny, man. That was I had the guys that do our turf, like chemicals and all that, showed up today. I was talking to this guy, and they just acquired the company that did it before. The new company's much, much better. And I said, how's retention been in this neighborhood? Have you got good clients like me? Or he said, some are good, some have been really crazy. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, people will say, like, for the price you're charging, you should be here 2 hours. I'm like, why do people care? And he's like, and they'll just call our office and email and text us and keep screaming at us over and over. And I'm just like, my takeaway is like, dude, there's some weird people out there. Like, what are we talking about? It's a doorknob. Why are we even talking about the doorknob? Right? If you don't like the guy's prices, don't pay him. Why are you calling his office? Like, people are just weird. It's like the older I get, the less tolerant I am. And I don't like get mad anymore. I'm just like always shaking my head. Like, I don't know how these people function. So,
yeah. Sometimes we just have our moments, and it's going to be a doorknob on the day. So,
yeah. What's one piece of marketing advice that you could offer up really to anybody who has a focus on building better relationships and attracting people into what they're doing? Again, a lot of this audience is going to be capital raisers for real estate, but they've got to have a relationship focus in their business. But like, really, what's your piece of advice there?
It ties back to everything that I believe in, which is be consistent with your communication. Yep. Just consistently follow up, consistently communicate. Even if you don't have an answer, get back to people and let them know, hey, I'm still researching this. Whatever it is, just be consistent. There are so few people that are consistent with any kind of communication. They're just spotty, and you don't know when they're coming back. You don't know if they have any answers. You lose more deals by not touching base with people than you can begin to imagine. If you just follow up with people, the stuff is out there. We just have to be consistent with our communication.
Yeah, I love that answer. I couldn't agree anymore if I wanted to, because, yeah, the amount of low-hanging fruit that you have and I have and everybody has in their life is amazing. And some people choose to pick it, right? They harvest that fruit because it requires a little effort, a little consistency. But the amount of people who are not happy with where their business is because they're not consistent, they just don't make effort daily. It's outrageous. And here's the worst part. I don't feel bad for them. You don't like your results? Try harder than one day. Try more than 6 weeks. Like, it's not that freaking hard. And I had this conversation with my son, and he's come a long way about things. I mean, he's got a job, he's got straight A's, but like the mess in the room, in the car, I'm like, why does your car look like you live in it? Well, I've been busy. Every time you get out of the car, grab the trash and throw it away, and it'll never be messy again in your life. Just consistently throw stuff away. It's not that hard. So he did it yesterday under my intense scrutiny, and we got it done in like 5 minutes. And I was like, solved, bro. That's all you got to do every day. Like, not that hard. So I think that's really, really outstanding advice. And if people would actually listen and implement that, be consistent for 6 months, under promise, over deliver, the same old stuff, they wouldn't even recognize their businesses.
Yeah.
All right. We are recording this in December 2023. What are you most focused on in your business? And you told us a little bit. Let's say for the next year, for 2024, what are you looking at? What are you thinking about? What excites you?
I am excited about the one-on-one engagements that I've got primed for the new year. I think it's going to be good. I'm also excited about figuring out how to add, just a few other offerings in there. Maybe something a lower price point, and then maybe, something a little bit more enhanced as well. So being able to address that, I love to be able to repurpose content. Talked to a lady last night. She said, "You have a mountain of content." I said, "I know, I've got 4 years of content. Let's repurpose this stuff. Like, I already repurpose it, but I want to live with intention with repurposing this content." So my goal is to get that content out there, repurposed effectively, not just to do it, but like to really connect with people in order to spread this work, in order to be able to create a larger outreach, in order for me to continue to pay it forward, to pay back for all the people that have helped me along the way.
Nice. And I love me some offer creation. That is fun, man. It's pure creative freedom. And, what's the worst that could happen? You put something out and the market doesn't like it. Big deal. Sometimes just the tiniest little tweaks, the difference between nothing happening and a whole lot happening. So that's good stuff. Also, anybody watching or listening who's been inspired by you, intrigued by you, what is the best way they could connect with you?
Yeah, if you visit my website, CatherineCantey.com, it's with C for Catherine, C for Cantey, .com, and you can schedule a call with me out there, and we can do just a quick call, or you can go to CatherineCantey.com/resources if you want to take a look at a couple different case studies of folks that we've worked with. I'm also on LinkedIn, and as a way to start spreading the word, I'm venturing out into Instagram. So being intentional, consistently following up out there. I've done it with LinkedIn for 4 years now. I'm going to add in Instagram, and I also have a YouTube channel, Catherine Cantey, so you can see there's over 100 different videos out there in the YouTube channel. So lots of different ways, but CatherineCantey.com is the easiest.
Awesome. Well, as always, I appreciate talking to you, and it's been fun, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jason. It's good to see you.
Take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of the show. I had a great time making it, and I hope you really enjoyed yourself listening to it. If you want to keep up with all things Real Estate Investor Marketing Stories podcast related, I encourage you strongly to go to reimarketingstories.com and signing up for our podcast newsletter. We will simply keep you up to date with what's going on with the show, new episodes, and things like that. reimarketingstories.com. So hopefully today's episode and the other episodes that you'll listen to will remind you that as a real estate investor, everybody starts at the beginning, okay? Our guest today and the other guests that you will hear on this show will share their real story, right? They'll tell you what worked, what didn't work. And I want you to remember one thing, if you remember nothing else today. It's possible for you too, okay? Never stop going and keep following your passion. Finally, today's show has been brought to you by capitalraisingautomations.com. If you're an active capital raiser and you are ready to learn the 3 areas that are holding you back from raising more capital, I strongly suggest you check out capitalraisingautomations.com. Check out our free 10-minute video there, and you let me know if it doesn't provide you value. I'm sure it will. All right, thanks again for listening to the show this week. Hope to see you next time. Take care.